Hello and welcome to SoBricks. I'm Adam and this is SoBricks. This is my channel for reviewing Lego sets and building them and other Lego related stuff. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Lego Creator 3-in-1 Panda family set. This on the Lego Shop at Home website, it says wild animals Panda family. They've done a lot of wild animals in Creator 3-in-1s, and they've been getting better and better as they've gone on. I remember looking at the tiger one that you could also make into a koi fish and something else. I thought that one was pretty good. But then they did like the giraffe one and this one and a lot of different bird ones and just tons of stuff. There's a fox one that I think is pretty good as well. And their brick built animals have really gone up. So I don't know if there is like a specific sub theme of Creator 3-in-1 wild animals something. But that's what it is listed at the website. This is set number 31165. It has 626 pieces, and I paid $32 for this set. So it retails for $40 right off the bat, like $40 for 600 pieces that you can build into 3 official models is a pretty fair deal, I would say. I think a lot of the Creator 3-in-1s, ones without minifigs especially, actually do have pretty good value if we're only considering price per piece. That's not always the only thing you consider, but it is nice to see some. And then I got this for 20% off, so taking $8 off the top of 40, bringing it down to $32. I think this was on sale for 10% off, or like was regularly priced around 36, and then I like price matched it because online I found it somewhere at the store I was buying it from for 32, and they price matched it. So I did get that 20% off, and at that price, $32 for 600 pieces feels really good, all things considered. Even though many of these pieces are small and inexpensive and stuff. I don't know the exact scale of this, but just by looking at it, it seems like there's substance here. This box is pretty heavy, actually, all things considered. So I'm looking forward to it. That seems like a good deal to me. I've enjoyed a lot of Creator 3-in-1s, including brick built animal ones, and I'm really excited to take a look at this one. And I know Jang on stream at one point, they may have done a video about this set, and I think they were streaming and they bought 3 of these, dumped out all the pieces on their working surface, and then built each of the models. And so didn't go by the numbered bags, and also mixed 3 sets together, which is a interesting thing. I can't remember if that was a charity thing or whatever, but if you're interested in something like that, I'm not going to do that. But Jang did do that. It might be available to see. I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, I'm excited to take a look at this. So in this video, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on the main build, the Panda family for this set. And then in subsequent videos, I will build the alternate build, which looks to be like an orca family and a penguin family there, and those will be separate videos. And so great. While I build, I will speed the video up, and then I'll slow it back down to review the first model for this set. So until then, enjoy. Okay, so while we look at the main build for this Lego Creator 3-in-1 Panda family set, I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and then remind you, if you like this video, click the thumbs up. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button. That helps me a lot. We start off the build here. We're building the smaller of the 2 pandas, maybe the younger one, but certainly the smaller one. And actually the builds for the pandas are pretty similar, just like way different scales, because one's supposed to be much larger than the other. But there was a lot of similarities in terms of what they are built like and what they can do and stuff like that. And then we work on a little bit of terrain, which has some kind of rocks and some ground, little floral elements, as well as some bamboo shoots here, which we are using these Technic connectors for. Onto the next bag of pieces, we can actually start working on the full size, or like the larger panda that is in this set. We start off with one of the legs, and there's a really interesting connection that I don't know if it sort of creates a joint that I don't know if I've seen before. It's kind of stacking those 2x2 round jumpers in there, and that allows us to swivel the legs a bit, and we kind of can attach those on either side like that, and we will continue to do that in here, and that also gives us the base for the bulk of the body here, and then we can start working on some of these sections for the back area on the behind. We do hide some pieces inside the structure of this that might be useful for or needed for the other builds. Have the couple ball joints there for the neck and the arms. We can add on that. We cover up the back, and then we can kind of work on the belly or tummy area for this as well, which is nice. And then we have some additional kind of things for the torso there, as well as the arms, and we have some more of those pieces that will be used for a bamboo shoot that can go in one of the panda's hands or paws or whatever, so they are holding on to that. And then at the end here we work on the head, which, you know, I think the Creator 3-in-1 brick build animals have like improved a lot since I started paying attention to them, and I think this one's pretty good. They have some nice piece usages and some good building techniques to make it feel organic and alive, and really cool stuff. So that's it for this one, and now on to my review for the main model for this set. Okay, so that is the main model for this LEGO Creator 3-in-1 Wild Animals Panda family set. This is pretty cool. I think they do a good job with these brick-built animals, especially recently. And there's a good amount of stuff here, so I'm excited to take a look at this. And yeah, this is really cute, fun. You know, sometimes when I see these brick-built animal and various other Creator 3-in-1s, it's sort of like, is it play? Is it display? Like, where does it fall? I mean, I think it could go either way, but, you know, the way these characters are constructed, they have limited play potential, I would say. So, but, you know, with enough imagination or whatever, anything can have play potential. So that is that, but we will get into it. No minifigures in here. Obviously it's brick built animal things. It's not really scaled to that. But we do have kind of three distinct things. The first thing we will look at is kind of the side build, actually, which is this bit of landscape and some bamboo shoots, I believe, here, which is a grass that the panda bears eat. So we have this really simple kind of rock formation here, a couple like shoots of bamboo using that kind of like light green or lime green kind of color here with the kind of leaf pieces up there. There's a little bit of floral stuff here with the eggshell piece and then that newer kind of bigger flower stud and then the regular flower stud on top, which is good. Those sit at a nice angle. It's kind of like rock faces and then kind of just terrain landscape here. This is built largely like sideways building, so studs are going this way. You kind of start putting it together one way, and you can see kind of the bottom of the studs are here, but then it lays flat on this side, something like that. These can be articulated a little bit. This one's connected with like a ball joint, so that can kind of be moved around. This one is not. It is just using Technic axle connectors all the way down to the bottom there. It's actually pinned in on the bottom, so you could rotate that a little bit, but for the most part, just kind of setting them up a little bit, and a couple other little things back there. This is pretty good looking. It looks good from all angles mostly. I mean, seeing the underside of pieces like this isn't maybe the most exciting or interesting to see or whatever, but I overall think this is a pretty good little side build. I don't know how these pieces are going to be used for the alternate builds, but I'm excited to kind of see that. The next thing you build is actually the smaller of the pandas. So you get two panda models here. This one we can call the younger panda, the smaller panda, the baby panda, whatever. And this is interesting. I've built, I think there was a Creator 3-in-1 poly bag that had, you know, a small panda similar to this that could also be built into like a penguin or something else. I don't know if I ever covered that on the channel. I maybe did, maybe didn't. It's from maybe a number of years ago, but I sort of remember that. I think this is done semi-similar to that, but it's interesting little build here. So we build kind of the torso, the body of this, and it's like super scaled down. I mean, the body is not too much different in size to the head there. And there's some nice building in here, some different stuff. I think the color blocking is really good. Nice use of these kind of slope pieces for the stomach. The legs are very, very simple, but they're nice. They're just clipped on in here, which is fine. You can kind of position them a little bit, but it doesn't look great to see the gap in there. And likewise, it's not the best for me to see these clips and these like joints here, but I think that's forgivable. I do like how they did the pads for the feet with those little tiles there. Arms are super basic. You can really only move those up and down a little bit. Just a modified plate with a clip, this kind of rounded plate here, and the hollow stud rounded plate there. On one hand, we have just a bar element and a leaf, maybe indicating some more bamboo shoots or something like that. I think the head area is pretty good as well. Shaping feels right. It feels like, these eye pieces are done nicely. They are actually the piece that is like a bar element and then a ball element on the back of it, and they sit down like recessed in there through a Technic axle brick on the inside. So, but that makes them kind of recessed in there and feel pretty good, kind of coming out of the eyes, give it a little more dimensionality. I think the face is overall kind of flat, but we do get some more depth with the kind of mouth and nose area here. The ears are nice, super simple. The curves up here are okay. Looking at it at the side, we do see, like I say, this clip, some more like odd colors in here. And we can kind of see how the ears are done. I think looking at the back of this struggles a little bit because of the ball joint there. It's just, if we were to cover this up, it would use more pieces and bulk this up and might limit the amount of movement this can have. So as is, we actually, we can turn the head pretty good like this. We can tilt the head a bit. We can obviously like nod the head or shake the head. So the head actually has pretty good range of motion, but I think that's one of the trade-offs. When it's sitting kind of like this, especially from the front, you don't really see that. And so to be able to kind of get this posed a slightly different way, or get this to kind of be closer to the bamboo or something like that, I think is pretty good. And it does sit. It is pretty stable when it's down on its bottom there with the legs, but we do see the back here, which just is not as ideal. So it's one of the trade-offs there. It is posable, which is nice. Again, color blocking here feels like it makes sense. All in all, this is pretty small, pretty inconsequential, but maybe potentially a nice kind of added thing in here. And there is some good stuff. And then the rest of the set is I would say the bulk of the set, is the big panda. So whether it's the adult panda, whether it's the older panda, just the larger panda, whatever it is. Now this, I think, is quite good. It has some similar issues actually as the little one. And it does almost feel like, this is just an upscaled version of that. There's so many similarities to it, but overall it's scaled up at a much bigger thing, uses more pieces, more bigger pieces. This is really cool as well. So we start by building, I want to say the legs actually, but I'm not 100% sure if I remember that. And let's see here. Yeah, I believe we start with kind of the leg section, so like one leg and then the other leg, and then they connect in a really interesting way, actually using a 2x2 round jumpers that are just like a round tile with one hollow stud in the middle. And so we actually do get some range of motion here. Other than that, it's plates, it's a lot of brackets used here, a lot of different pieces, cheese wedge, wedge plates, curved plates, like slope pieces, different tiles here. This is kind of a different style of slope than this one, to get this kind of bushy, furry, organic kind of look for it. Same for like these kind of pieces here, which I think is really smart and well utilized. The pads, again, are quite nice, slightly different color than the ones on the smaller Panda there, which is cool. The bottom of this it is just flat, so it does lay flat. And these connect kind of by stacking up those 2x2 round jumpers. And I thought the connection, it's very secure. There's a decent amount of friction here, so we can like move these where they're closer together. We can move them kind of wider out like that. And I think part of the benefit of doing it like they did is we don't actually really see clips or anything too much, or anything like that. If we really kind of look in here, and maybe if I adjust or add some additional light, there is you can kind of see that stack up of little assemblies in there that are allowing this to move. So it is those like rounded kind of plates and tiles and stacked stuff. So I think that's pretty nice, and it does minimize the amount of like odd pieces or weird colors that we're seeing. We can see it a little bit on the back, but it's not too noticeable in a lot of lighting conditions unless you're specifically looking for that. I think it would be easy to miss that, so that is pretty good. We don't have a ton of range of motion. You can basically like split these out really far, bring them in, which is good, and then kind of anywhere in between, which is nice as well, and kind of have them something like that. So those are built pretty much the same, just mirrored left and right. I will say there's like another potential thing. There's like maybe a gap in here, and I don't know if it's super easy to see, but when I'm handling this, I can sort of see through a little bit of it, and that's just another thing to notice, but pretty small, pretty minimal, and that is fine. So we start with those, and then we, connect them to this section down on the bottom, which again has a lot of studs on the side and a lot of brackets, and these like 2x6s that have the 4 studs on the side there as well on the front and the back. I believe you put the front together first, so we're using some of these bigger kind of rounded pieces here, and nice layering there with curved plate pieces, all different ways. So this is all done on studs on the side, bricks, and brackets and things like that. So this is really nice, and this is where I think the Lego group and the designers have really done well to work on their brick build animals and stuff, because this feels really good. The way that this sort of tapers up or curves there with the how the plates are stacked and the tiles, I feel like feels nice and organic and cool, and gives us some texture, and then also some like smooth areas, which helps bring out some of the like fluffiness or the furriness of it. And it also is connected to the side areas pretty nicely. So when we're working on these sides, the right and left sides are done pretty similar. We have some like sub assemblies that we add in, and then it all gets kind of studded down and covered up. So again, interesting like slope pieces here, these kind of furry claw-like or rock face pieces there done in white. This piece here is only used on these like sides, I think, and those are pretty nice. So these are pretty similar, and there's some like structural things to connect it to this sort of front belly area and connect it kind of around the back, which is really good. Again, the color scheme or the color blocking is really nice. I like how kind of rotund this is here, even just above the legs. It gives the impression that there's like full body behind there, which is appreciated. So I like that. Back is done pretty similar, a little bit different because of the, it's black plates up here, but I still think the color patterning for this is really solid. We do have some bigger pieces down here, like these bigger kind of quarter dome pieces for the sort of back side of this, which is nice. So not identical, and also the back kind of arch doesn't sit at the same height as like the tummy there, so that is really, really good. Moving up to the arms are done the same as each other and then just mirrored. So again, one of the ways that this is like similar to the tiny one, I mean, I could say that, this belly and the side areas and everything are done similar to the tiny one, with a little more, because we have more real estate and different stuff, we can like cover up some of these things a little bit more. Same for down here. So we do get the benefit of this. And the arms really feel like they are a scaled up version of this as well, because this one is like stacking a couple of these almost like corner or L or J shaped plates there. These ones use or these arms use those bigger. They're like a 2 wide L. I think it's like a 2x3x3 or something, which is just, it's not like the mech arms, but it is a like a right angle plate piece, and it uses a couple of those. So we don't have like elbow articulation in here or anything like that. They are fixed in this position, which feels appropriate for this. And that's similar with the smaller one as well. They're just sort of fixed in that position. We do get the benefit because these are not just clipped in. So on the little one, we can only kind of rotate them up and down. These ones are on a ball joint, so we can kind of rotate them around different ways like this. We can certainly fold them up and down, maybe not as much, but we can also kind of bring them up like that. You could maybe even try to bring this all the way around, which is fine. Nexonite shields here, slope up here, a couple more of these like bits used for the fur, which is good. And then we have the hands, and the hands are pretty basic. We do have like a Technic pinhole there. We can rotate it around the wrist area, have the little slightly different color, same color actually as the pads down here, which is nice little thing. This is because of the stuff that's up around the joint. It does cover up the ball joint pretty well, except for maybe the underside, but that does limit some of the range of motion, so you have to kind of work around with that. And I just lost one of the tiles, the Nexonite shield tile there, but I'm still able and satisfied to move these around. The Technic pinhole that goes through the hands there is to accommodate this bamboo subassembly, so you could have this on either hand. It doesn't really matter. This is built pretty much the same way as the ones that are on the landscape there. And again, we can sort of rotate the wrist, so we can do that, and we can articulate the arms a little bit. So that is good. Shoulder area is nice, again, covering up like a lot of the connections in here, a lot of different angles, different shapes, different lines cutting to make this feel natural and organic. And then the head, which again is really, really good, is an upscaled version of that. They actually use it's not the same piece as the other one for the eyes. I actually think they're using a 1x2 with a ball joint on both sides for the eyes here. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I think the face is like really detailed here. The patterning for the black and white is very good, realistic, nice use of those like fur pieces and different teeth pieces in here, different slopes, cheese wedges going different directions. These kind of, to get this sort of upper lip under the nose area done right, they're using kind of those like teeth or claw pieces, which I think looks really, really good. Of course, we do have the mouth that can open and close a bit here, which is nice, which does mean we can kind of make this look like it's snacking on some of the bamboo there, which I think is appropriate for play and display. You can get a leaf kind of slotted in there. You could also just have the top of the stalk kind of up in the mouth area, which is pretty good. And it feels round, it feels big. The eyes, or the ears rather, are done nicely as well. We are seeing the underside of plates there instead of tiles, but that gives it some extra like depth and maybe actually looks like some ear structure a little bit. Sides of this are rounded out nicely with some kind of fur stuff there. And then it's not nearly as flat as the face is on the smaller one. So where the sort of brow and the bridge of the nose and the snout and the mouth area kind of extends forward is pretty well achieved, which is nice. Overall rounded up here. If we look around the rear, I've kind of been avoiding this, we have a similar thing. We have a bigger ball joint here. It is not as noticeable as the other one, although it's pretty similar, you know? And there's trade-offs for that. On one level, you know, we can see some of the tan in here, obviously like the gray, different things like that. They maybe there's maybe a way to cover this up a little bit more, but we sacrifice range of motion for this. So like the smaller one, we do get some good stuff here. So we can kind of rotate this like that. We can sort of lean it like that. Of course, we can nod up and down. When it's up like this, you know, we could spin this all the way around and get this kind of positioned a bit differently. The thing about this, because of the way that it's done, you know, we can kind of get it close to like walking on all fours, although the rear section is not as sightly, and this just doesn't look right to me. And then it's got a very like forward look to it because the arms and everything, it's just not really designed to do that as far as I can tell. And then we're limited by how much we can reach the head up. So it doesn't have a super you know, aesthetically pleasing kind of walking pose that it can be at. It's really just mostly a sitting pose. But then we do have, you know, the ability to be expressive with how it is sitting and what it is kind of doing here, which I think is nice. So, you know, we trade that off. Of course, we can see some of the other stuff in here when the mouth and cheek area isn't kind of in front of that. When it is kind of at like a resting sort of generic position like this, a lot of that stuff is covered up. And this feels pretty good, nicely detailed, super identifiable as a panda, like obviously. And that's good. But, you know, anytime we start moving this around, looking at it from the side even, that is going to start to stand out a little bit. And, you know, they do a good job with this one to like cover up some gaps and weird colors and make it feel well-rounded and complete, which is appreciated. And then just this bit up here, and this is something that we encounter with just lots of stuff. It's like when you look at the big dinosaur molds, for example, sometimes where there's like a neck joint or something like that, you might get a big gap in there. And that's just one of the things in order to have some posability and some articulation and stuff like that. Then you can't have everything just like solid plastic, you know, you need to allow for some of that space. And this one definitely has that. I think there probably is some way to kind of cover that up a little bit more if we just wanted this to be in like a perfectly fixed position. But that is not exactly what the designers were going for. And I think that makes sense. I think I would have preferred that this had maybe the ability to kind of move this a little bit more so that it could kind of get in a walking position or a standing position. And something like using these bigger ball joints inside for the legs maybe would have helped. I think the sitting position is like really, really well considered. I do like the legs. They come together and really feel like a way pandas have been seen, you know, sitting. And it is like just a similar pose as for between the two of them, which is kind of nice. But being able to kind of have at least the bigger one, maybe the smaller one is just sitting, but the bigger one being able to like walk or stand, walk on all fours, whatever, I think would there be a benefit to that. But it's another one of those things that maybe you would have trade-offs where this wouldn't look as good. Maybe, it wouldn't look as good sitting, and it would be able to stand, but we would sacrifice some of the other sort of design choices and things that are used for this. Altogether, this is a pretty good amount of stuff. It is dense. It took me a fair amount of time to build, and I think they are really, really good at these. I mean, so much of this for what it is, a sitting panda bear, is like very, very good. And in many ways, it's expressive and the posability is useful for that, to be able to have the bamboo kind of working in different ways and have the mouth and the head be positioned a little bit more, which is nice, but it doesn't feel like super playable to me. Of course, I can grip this. It's like super sturdy to handle, but like, if I move it like that, it's kind of like it's scooching on its behind or something instead of like walking or whatever. And these could interact, I suppose, a bit, but it does feel like something that is built and set down. And it's like, I love pandas. Here is a brick built Lego Panda, and that's what this set is for. And in that way, if we're not seeing that joint kind of in the neck or the head area, that's really nice. We don't see that downside, and this sits there, and we can kind of change its expression a little bit as we see fit for that day or whatever, for that period of time, which is fine. But we don't. It's a little bit harder to see like what else we can do with this. But with like a collection of these brick built animals, with the giraffe one and with the fox and with this other stuff, I think these are like a super well done thing, and they're getting like better at it as well, which is I think the big thing that I appreciate. And I think this one is a good example of that. It feels organic. It feels sort of weirdly, even though it is in many ways like symmetrical, there's enough like visual distinction between levels and enough kind of changes in depth and angle all throughout this with the piece selection that make it feel very alive, which is an achievement using the Lego system pieces there. And so there's a lot of good here. I had fun putting it together. I don't think anything really surprised me except for maybe how they did the legs in here to allow them to kind of do this. I thought that was kind of an interesting way to do it, and maybe not something I've seen exactly like that, which is nice. And then the other stuff, a lot of bricks on the side or studs on the side building, which is good. And there's some good pieces in here, some good stuff. So I am overall happy with this. I will show the extra pieces because you do get us some. The main ones are going to be, we get, for example, an eye tile. Now, you might notice we don't use any eye tiles in this, but we do use them for some of the alternate sets. And there is some building in here where we do like just hide some pieces away that we need for the alternate builds and stuff like that. And they do a good job having those in there, but then, being able to cover them up and stuff. So that is kind of a neat little surprise and does vary the building experience a bit. But all your 1x1s, your studs, your tiles, I love getting these 1x2 rounded tiles that are not the jumpers. Those are not light enough to be in the extra pieces, but the ones without the stud on them are light enough. So I always like getting those, all of your little pieces, and that is good. And this set is 626 pieces, and I paid $32 for it. So it retails for $40. I got it for 20% off, so knock $8 off the top, going from 40 to 32. 600 pieces for $30, 626 pieces for $32, if we're kind of rounding this around, is really pretty good in Lego terms and in Lego in 2025 terms. Now, I don't remember if this came out in 2024 or 2025, but that is pretty reasonable. Now, I do like to consider in Creator like 3-in-1s, I get 3 official builds with the extra instructions and everything like that, that the designers like worked on, and that gives me more time with the set, more time with the pieces, and sort of more experience there, which I do put some value on that, which I'm really excited to look at the alternate builds for this. And so for like the amount of stuff that I have in front of me, the amount of like pieces that are in here, the amount of plastic that's here, and then like the actual experience of building this, it actually feels pretty reasonable. I mean, I think $32 is pretty fair. And I might even say the $40 price point is pretty attractive for this, you know, when compared to other Lego sets, other themes that released around this same time. If you're looking for like raw pieces and stuff, I think the price per piece of this set is pretty competitive, and it's not all tiny pieces. I mean, we have an assortment of extra pieces here, but there's a lot of pieces that are in this that are like not in the extra pieces, because a good bulk of these pieces are sizable, or at least bigger than like a 1x1 or something like that, and even some like relatively big pieces, all things considered. So there's stuff here. There is Lego here, there is plastic here, and $40 is doesn't seem actually that bad for something like this. If it speaks to you, if you love pandas, you like the brick build animals, whatever, I think there's like real value in this. I'm certainly happy I got it on sale. I maybe would have bought this even if it wasn't on sale. I just figured like the Creator 3-in-1 stuff, whether it's the brick build animals or other stuff, there are certain sets that I feel that I buy right away for full price. There are sets that I feel like, I'll wait for a sale on that, or look for a sale. And I'm like reasonably confident that eventually there will be a sale, whether it's probably not from the Lego group itself. So I'm not always like maximizing the amount of points I get, because I don't buy everything exclusively from the Lego Shop at Home website. I bought this from a store and it was already like 10% off. And then I price matched it to get it to 20% off. So getting it down to that 32. So, there's trade-offs to that as well, because the Lego points, depending on when you buy something, whether it's double points, whatever, Insiders Weekend, all that different stuff, there are different ways you can sort of maximize how far your money goes in buying Lego. I don't focus on that a ton. So I got this for $32, and I'm pretty happy about that. It's getting close to that like 5 cents per piece instead of the 10 cents per piece, which is significant, and so and even though price per piece isn't, the hard and fast rule or the best metric, it is something I can like, it is like a baseline that I can reasonably compare things to. And by that metric, this feels really good. And by other metrics, I think this feels quite good as well. So I am pretty pleased with this, pleased about the value, and I'm really looking forward to the alternate builds. So I think that's it for this one. We have upcoming the Orca sort of, what are they, like a pod, I think, maybe, here, which looks really interesting and makes use of some of the like floral elements and different stuff, which I think is pretty cool. So we'll see about that. And then there's also the penguin family here. So through all of these, the brick built animals, kind of maybe more of an adult one, and a younger one, or a bigger one, and a smaller one, kind of all throughout here, which is very, very cool to see. And I'm really looking forward to these other builds, but I will cover those in separate videos. So I think that's it for this one. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up and give it a like. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date on all the Lego videos I'll be doing here in the future, including a video about the alternate Orca build for this set, and another video about the alternate penguin build for this set. Maybe I will have to check what Rebrickable looks like, and see if there are other cool like alternate builds using the pieces from this set. Maybe I'll do another one of those. I always appreciate doing those if the designers of those like kind of someone else's creations allow me to, but we'll see about that. Otherwise, I'm going to be covering tons of other Lego sets from all different themes, all different shapes, size, price point, piece count, tons of different stuff. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Also, I've been looking at some stuff from other brick built toy and collectible model brands like the Mattel Brick Shop, and I have some Lumi Brick stuff, and might be branching out even further because I've been enjoying that. If you're interested in seeing those right now, at least currently they're behind a paywall. There's not really any reason they need to be. They're still Lego related. I think, in many ways they're Lego compatible. They're just different manufacturers, different designers, and different philosophies, and certainly different values and stuff like that. So if you're interested in those, you can become a channel member on YouTube with the join. I think it's $2 a month. There's also like supers and thanks, which you can financially support the channel. Those videos are also available if you join on like Patreon. So patreon.com/SoBricks is a link in the description. That really helps support the channel. You get access to some exclusive videos. You get access to all of my videos like early before they're just up publicly on YouTube. So maybe consider doing that if you're interested. I do appreciate it. So thank you very much. There's merchandise for SoBricks. You go to TeePublic, search for SoBricks. There's a link in the description. It's great. I like it. I wear a lot of it. If you're interested in anything, you see something there that you like, maybe check it out. It's a great way to support the channel, and I appreciate it. Sometimes, TeePublic very regularly has sales. So like getting a t-shirt for, $16 or something like that. And that, I don't know how much, if it's on sale, like how much of that like supports, me directly, but it's something, and you get a physical thing for that. I don't get $16 for it. I would get like a couple dollars for it, but either way, like it is a nice way to support the channel, and I'm actually like putting some time and effort into designing those things and having those out there. So if you're interested, check it out. Helps a lot. I appreciate it. And with all of that said, until next time, thanks. Bye.